Hello, welcome to yet another episode where we shall be looking at the proposed preparation revision practice for the grade 9 mathematics paper 1. Okay, so under paper 1, there are certain topics that we need to expect. Topic number 1 is what we call the whole numbers. Okay, this whole number topic is very wide. Okay, we have issues to do with factors and multiples. Okay, then we also have ratios and the rates still under the whole numbers. Then still under the whole numbers, we can talk about the number types. Okay, rational, irrational, natural, and all those things. And then we also have the financial maths under these whole numbers. Then we also have speed, distance, and time under solving problems that are associated with whole numbers. Of course, even the calculation techniques of the body mass, opening brackets, and so on and so forth. Then topic number 2 is what we call the integers, okay? The positive, negative numbers together with the square roots and cube roots and how we use them in the calculations. Topic number 3, we have what we call the common as well as the decimal fractions, okay? That is also one aspect that we need to put into consideration when you're preparing for paper 1. And besides that, we have what we call the exponents. Okay, so in this case, we need to test the laws and then the application of the laws. And then number 5, we have what we call the number patterns. The number patterns, topic number 6 that we normally look at is what we call the algebraic expressions. Okay, algebraic expressions. From the algebraic expressions, we can also have the algebraic equations. They move hand in hand. And then lastly, we have our functions and relationships. Okay, so basically that is what paper 1 is made up of. So we're going to use this paper as just a revision guide, okay, as you guys prepare for your final exam. So they're telling us that we have questions 2 to 6, okay, that must be answered in the spaces. Question 1 is multiple choice. Okay. First question, answer the following by choosing the correct answer. Okay. Root 13 can be classified as, so we know that we cannot find the square root of 13. I mean, the answer can be found, but we're not going to get a whole number. It's going to be something that is non-ending. So in that case, it's known as an irrational number, which is option D. And then they're telling us this can also be written as, so in other words, when we try to collect the like terms, so we move the 3x that side, it's going to be 5x minus 3x. On the other side, the 7 is negative. When we move the 4, it will be a plus 4. When you play around with this, it's going to be 5x minus 3x. 4 is positive. The 7 is negative. So we must look for this option here. So 5x minus 7 minus, this is wrong. This is the correct option that we need. And then 6.3, sorry, 1.3, simplify. We are dividing exponents, yeah? So 6x to the 12 over 6x cubed. So the 6 cancels that. Now the bases are the same. We need to subtract the exponents. So 12 minus 3, which gives us 12 to the 9. Sorry, x to the 9, which is option D. And then 1.4, if 3 is an output value, okay, of this function, what will be the input? So y is the output. So let's put a 3 there. We have negative x squared plus a 5. Okay. Let's move this 5 that side. It's going to be a 3 minus 5 is equal to negative x cubed. And then divide both sides by, okay, let's first subtract. It's a negative 2, negative x cubed. Divide both sides by negative 1, meaning that x cubed is the same as 2. So for us to get the answer here, you must apply the cube root on both sides, meaning that x must be the cube root of 2, which is option C. Then lastly, which point will be on the y-axis? Okay, so we know that on the y-axis, okay, x needs to be a 0, and x is always the first point in any ordered pair. So 0y is the correct option there. All right. Then question number 2, we need to use the spaces provided, and then they're asking us between these two numbers, which one is the smallest? So of course, since we are allowed to use calculators, feel free to do the comparison. Okay, this is 2 root 5, and then this is 4 root 3. Okay, we know that the square root of, let's just punch it in, 2 root 5. It gives us 4,47 and so on. And then 4 root 3 gives us a 6,928 and so on. So which one is the smallest? It's going to be the 2 root 5. And then divide 240 in the ratio of this. So step number 1, we need to get the total ratio. Okay, total ratio, we just add up. So 5 plus 3 plus 4, which becomes a 12. Then if we get the 240 divided by 12, okay, what will each ratio part take? It's going to be a 20. So with a portion of 5, it's going to be 5 times 20, which is 100, and then 3 times 20, which is 60, and then 4 times 20, which is 80. All right, and then 2.3, TEPA walks 20,000 meters from home to school at a speed of 6 kilometers per hour. How long does it take him to arrive to school? Now, the speed is given in kilometers per hour, but the distance is given in meters. So first things first, we need to change this to 20,000 meters to kilometers. So it's going to be 20,000 divided by 1,000, which is going to give us 20 kilometers. Now we know that speed is given as the distance over time, meaning that our time will be the same as the distance over the speed. So what is our distance? It's a 20 kilometer, and then the speed is 6. So since they don't want the answer in minutes and all those things, let's just give it the way we can. So that's going to be 3,33 hours walking. Okay, so meaning that this Tsepo boy must leave home around 5 for him to be at school by the required time. Okay, so Paul invests 5,006% compound interest per annum. How much will this person have at the end of the 4 years? So compound interest formula is 1 plus I to the exponent of n. Oh, by the way, the good news is that in grade 9 final examination, we always give you the formula page at the end of the paper. So for such formulas, you'll find them at the back of your paper. That's if you've forgotten some of them. Okay, so punching this into the calculator, we're going to have the 6312,38. And then that becomes our answer. And then 2.5, 288 boys each contribute 115.5 towards the purchase of a tent. Calculate how much each boy will have to contribute if we had 10 boys. So this is a proportion, okay, which is a direct proportion or indirect proportion. Let's see. So if 8 boys are contributing this much, how much is the tent? So this is 8 times 115,50. Okay, 115,5 times 8 means the tent is 924 rands. So if we have 10 boys, which means the contribution is just going to be less. So 924 divided by 10, 92 rands and 40 cents. That's how much each one will contribute. So the more the number of people contributing, the less the amount that each will put up. Question number 3. Simplify the following. So these are still exponents, an exponent and another exponent. These two multiply, so it's going to be 2. 2 times 3 is a 6. And then 2, 3 are negative, 2 is negative 6. Then we plus up the exponents since the bases are the same. So 6 plus a negative 6, that's a 0. And then 2 to the 0 gives us a 1. Okay, and then 3.1.2, we have the square root of 169 x to the 12. So what is the square root of 169? That's a 13. Now, whenever we have roots of exponents, all we have to do is divide the exponent by the root, okay? If it's a square root, then we're going to divide this 12 by 2. So that's a 6. If it's a cube root, you divide by 3, and so on. Anything to the exponent of 0 is always a 1 over the cube root. That's what we just said. Ne? We divide the exponent by 3, which gives us a 4. Okay, so the top part is just going to become 13x to the 6 over x to the 4. Now, x and x, same bases, but being divided. So we need to subtract. So that is 6 minus 4, which is a 2. And this becomes our final answer. 3.1.3. Okay, still exponents of p squared, q squared. Negative 2 and 2 gives us a p to the negative 4. You're dividing it by a p to the negative 2. So we have quite a lot of p's. Ne? Let's apply the laws to the p's. Okay, so the law of multiplication tells me I'll have a p to the 2 plus a negative 4. But since I'm dividing, I'll subtract a negative 2, then multiplied by q squared. Okay, looking at this, it's going to be a p2 minus 4 plus 2, and then q squared. So this becomes a 0, because 2 plus 2 is a 4, 4 minus 4 is a 0. So our final answer just becomes q squared. All right, then 3.2, the pattern below is made up using squares. Okay, we need to answer the questions that follow. Okay, let's see. Is there something that is missing here? Complete the table by determining the values of A and B. I think this was supposed to be a 4, if I'm not mistaken. Okay, so we know that the first position 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, so how many squares do we have? It's 1, 2, 3, 4 squares. And then here, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 squares. 6 squares, this will be 7 squares. Ne? Then if it's 7 squares, then this one must give us 8 squares. So A is going to be 8. And then the number of matchsticks needed. So from a 13, you add 3 to give us a 16. You add 3 to give you a 19. We must add 3 to give us a 22. Okay, so that's that. Then 3.2 determine the general term or rule to calculate the number of matchsticks. So our focus is the matchsticks, not the squares. So with the matchsticks, we're going to say Tn. Okay, the common difference is a 3, so you write 3n. And then what is 13 minus this 3? That gives us a 10. So this becomes the rule that the question wanted. All right, and then 3.2.3. How many matchsticks will figure 25 have? So T25 is going to be 3 times 25 plus a 10. Okay, but we know that 3 times 25 gives us a 75. When you add a 10, then we get 85 matchsticks. Okay, question 4, which is the algebraic expressions. Simplify. So when you're simplifying this, all we have to do is collect the like terms, work with the like terms. So we know that x squared and this 3x squared are like terms because they have the same letters and the same exponents. Then this 5x and the 5x, and then we have this 11 and this 6. So I can do the collection and say x squared plus 3x squared. And then this is a minus 5x. This is also a minus 5x. This is a minus 11 plus a 6. A number takes on a sign in front of it. So 1x squared plus 3 squared, that gives 4x squared minus 5 is a minus 10x. Minus 11 plus 6 is a minus 5. So that is our answer. We can't simplify that further because those are not like terms. And then 4.1.2, we can use the crisscross. So this multiplies that, this multiplies that, this multiplies that. So it's going to be 3 into x minus 4 plus 2 into x plus 6 divided by 2 times 3. Open up the top part. That's going to be 3x, minus 3 and 4 is a 12, plus 2 and x is a 2x, and then 2 and 6 is a 12. This is divided by a 6. So this and that, because those are like terms, we're going to get a 5x. Minus 12 and plus 12, that's going to be a 0, okay, over 6, meaning that this is my final answer. All right, then 4.1.3, we have 9x cubed minus 6x squared plus 3x divided by that. So when you're dividing algebraic expressions, do the splitting up. Okay, so 9x cubed over 3x minus 6x squared over 3x plus a 3x over 3x. And then apply your laws of exponents and cancel out. So 9 divided by 3 is a 3. X cubed over x gives us x squared. Minus 6 divided by 3 is a 2. X squared over x is just x plus a 1. So that becomes our final answer. Okay, then 4.2, factorize the following. Factorization, okay. So the product here is a 6 and the sum is a 5. Which two numbers are those? Gonna use 2 and 3. When you multiply these two, you get a 6. When you plus the 2, you end up with a 5. So it's going to be x plus 2 and then x plus 3. And then 4.2.2, what is common here? 4x is common because there's a 4, there's a 4. There's some bit of x, there's x there. So let's take out the 4x. We're going to be left with just x squared minus, since we removed the entire 4x, we shall be left with a 1. But then this bracket forms a difference of two squares. So come down and say 4x. This is going to be x minus 1 and then x plus 1. This becomes our final answer. And then 4.3, we need to solve these equations. So the first one is a quadratic equation. 2 brackets is equal to 0. So it's either the x plus 3 is a 0 or the x minus 2 should be a 0. So if x plus 3 is a 0, let's move the 3 that side, meaning that x is going to be a negative 3. If we move the 2 that side, x becomes a positive 2. All right. And then 4.3.2, do the cross multiplication in this case, or multiply through by 6, since we want to get rid of the denominators. So 2x minus 3 over 2, x plus 1 over 6. So I'm going to say times 6 times 6. This cancels this. By 2, 1 by 2 is a 3. Let's open up now. So 6x minus 9 is equal to x plus 1. I'm going to move the 9 that side. I'm going to move the x that side. So 6x minus x is equal to 1 plus 9. Then 5x is equal to 10. Then divide both sides by 10. Sorry, by 5, not 10. Then x becomes a 2. All right, then 4.3.3. We have these exponential equations. So I'm going to say 5x plus 2. We know that 25 can 1 over 25 can be written as 1 over 5 squared. Let's take this to the top. It's going to be 5 to the exponent of negative 2. Bases are the same, you drop them. So x plus 2 should give us a negative 2. Then move this to that side. X is a negative 2 minus 2. And x becomes just a negative 4. We're all right. So we move on to 4.3.4. If I multiply a certain number by 5, okay, let the number be x. Okay, let the number be, okay, let's use y. So if I multiply a certain number by 5, so it's going to be 5y, you get the same answer as when I subtract the number from 48. It's the same as 48 minus y. That's what the question says. What is the number? Let's move this y this side. So it's going to be a 5y plus a y becomes a 48. 6y is a 48. Divide both sides by 6. Y becomes 8. So the number is 8. Okay. And then 5.1, use the diagram below to determine the value of A and B. A is happening when the input is 0. So 3/4 times 0 plus 1, which means A is a 1. And then for us to get to B, we need to use the inverse. So with the inverse, it's going to be 13. No, it's a 3/4, not 13. Okay. But why am I even using? Oh, it is a 13/4 first with minus 1. Okay. What does this give us? This is going to give us a 9/4. So 9/4, we need to divide it with this. So in other words, I'm going to multiply it by 4/3 because it is the reciprocal. So 4 cancels 4, 9/3 gives us a 3. Aibo, this is correct, but then I'm looking at the wrong sum. What's wrong with me? We said B. What is the output of B? Can be looking at something wrong. Output of B is -5/4. Sorry about that. So it's going to be -5/4 minus 1, which is going to give me a -9/4. And we said we are dividing this by 3/4, which is the same as times 4/3, which gives me a -3. Okay, so that is how we would have gone about that. Then question number 5.2, we have this table. They want us to get the rule. The rule is more like the equation. Yes, the equation. So when you're getting the equation, let's start with the gradient because we know that the equation of the table will be mx plus c, where m is the gradient. So I'll say that my m is change in y over change in x. So if I use these 2 points, okay, it's going to be a 5 minus 1 over 4 minus 2. That becomes 4/2, and the gradient is a 2. So y is going to be a 2x. My y-intercept is when x is a 0, so this point here is a -3. Okay, then write down the value of p. So p is the x when the y is 17. So 17 is 2x minus 3. Nope. Move the 3 that side. It's going to be a 20 is 2x, meaning that x needs to be a 10. So p needs to be a 10. Okay, and then question 6, a straight line graph is defined by this equation, determine the gradient. So for you to get the gradient, just rewrite this expression in the form of mx plus c, leave y on one side. So move the 4 that side, meaning that 2y is going to be -4x minus 8. Divide through by 2, so it's going to be a -2x minus 4. So the gradient is a -2. Determine the x and the y-intercepts. And so we know that the y-intercept, we have already obtained it. It's a -4. And then for x-intercept, we know that y is going to be a 0. Replace y with a 0, -2x minus 4. Move it that side. It's going to be a 2x is -4, and then x is going to be -2. Okay, so that's what we have. And then they want us to sketch this graph. So since we found the intercepts, we are saying -2 and -4. -2 and -4. So those are the points. No? Then you just have to connect those points using your ruler and your pencil. So I don't have a ruler, but we can have something like that. All right, so guys, that brings us to the end of this paper. I wish you guys all the best in your preparations. Let's meet when we are discussing paper 2. Bye-bye.